If we don't understand how to follow our intuition, we are going to waste time. We're not going to be aligned with our highest path, our highest potential. And today I'm going to share with you exactly what you can do to understand how your intuition works and understand how to listen to it, how to follow it, how to take action on it. And if you take what I shared today and you apply it, I guarantee you're gonna feel like you have more guidance in life. You're gonna feel like you have support. I know what it's like when you feel like everything's going wrong in your life or you feel stuck, and all of us have this built-in guidance system. But the problem is that we go through school and we go through our families and no one really shares with us. No one really tells us how to slow down and how to, like, what to do to tap into our own inner guidance. All right, so welcome to Journey to Consciousness. My name is Trevor. Previously in this video series, we shared about the dark night of the soul, the hermit phase, and now we're getting more into intuition, following our intuition, going to get more into developing our gifts, getting into our talents and our life purpose. And this is a very important topic. Like I just shared, we're not taught growing up how to follow our intuition. We don't really, people even mock a lot of spirituality, things that are mocked or made fun of, and it's woo woo, this and that. It's, what do they say? They say it's new age. All these phrases, it's kind of a pop culture thing, but intuition is real. And I want to share with you a couple things today that happened to me, a couple stories, and also just what you can do to follow your intuition so that you can basically stay on track for your goals for this lifetime. Because I think a lot of us, when we don't follow our intuition, what can happen is that the universe might eventually have to force us to change. Well, this could be like getting fired from a job. It could be a big breakup. It could be a massive sudden change. Whereas if we were to have heard our intuition earlier, we could have avoided that chaotic situation. It's happened to me before where I've kind of ignored my intuition and then big things would happen and I'm thinking like, man, I should have just listened to my gut, right? So the challenge comes, let's just go right into this, let's just dive right into it. The challenge often comes because we have this battle going on within us, right? So I'm sure you probably already understand what intuition is. You probably already have been following it somewhat, but I'm gonna kind of go a little deeper today and just share some tips that might help you. And from my experience, the hardest part about following our intuition is because we have this battle within us. It's a battle of our mind against our heart, right? And normally the heart is where the intuition comes from. The problem is that we have so many beliefs and thought patterns, and our mind is usually always active too. A lot of us have very active minds, and we're always having different thoughts, always hyper analyzing things. And what can happen is that our heart, our intuition might be saying something, and our mind, which is really our ego, it wants to keep us safe, it wants to keep us in what's familiar, it wants to kind of just make sure that we're not gonna go into any danger. This clash is very common. And here's what I suggest trying out when you want to tap into your intuition. There's a couple things I want to get into here. Number one is that we have to understand that the intuition, it's a real-time phenomenon. It's usually that first subtle feeling we get, and then what tends to happen is that our mind will come in right after that with the thoughts. Oh, that's not going to work out. That doesn't make any sense. How will you do that? How will that even work? Like these thoughts come from our mind. But sometimes before those thoughts, we have this intuitive feeling, right? For me, about 8 years ago, when I was in New York City and I was at this job that was really draining me. I was at this 9-to-5 corporate job. I would take the subway down to Times Square. I'd get off there, I'd walk over to my huge, really, really tall building. And I was just not enjoying my commute. I wasn't enjoying living in the city very much. I wasn't enjoying the work, which was sitting behind a computer all day, typing up numbers and spreadsheets. And after a few months of that, after about 3-4 months, I began to feel like first thing in the morning or during the day, I would just feel thinking about going for other careers or leaving the city, going back home to my parents' house. That feeling when I would think about that scenario, how it felt really good. It felt light. It felt more fun. It felt more expansive leaving the city. And that's how the initial feeling was inside my body, inside my heart space, in my chest here. But then immediately after it would feel good, my thoughts would come in. And the thoughts would be telling me, how are you going to make money? How are you going to leave this job you went to school for and go back home? What are your friends going to think? What are your family going to think? How are you going to have an awesome career? Like, how's it going to work out? That was my immediate thought reaction to thinking about that possible outcome. And it was this clash for months where, especially, here's a little thing that might help you, especially at least for me, when I wake up in the morning after I'm sleeping, first thing in the morning, I find that my intuition, when I first wake up, the first few moments of opening my eyes, I just find that sometimes I'm really tapped in. I can really sense what's the best for me. And I think maybe because our mind, our ego, first thing in the morning, it's not like super awake or it's not super aware. And even like in the middle of the night, sometimes when you go through a spiritual awakening, you get up at like 3 a.m. and you can't sleep or you feel really energized. Same thing, that 3, 4, 5 in the morning time, I believe is a very powerful time to, once again, to tap into your intuition. And why is that? Maybe because our ego is kind of a little more dormant. And also because I believe at 3, 4 in the morning, you think about people all around you, if you're in a house or an apartment or town or city, everyone's asleep at that time mostly. And it's very quiet around you in the environment, and I think that also helps us to tap into our intuition that way. But let me get back to this main thing. So when I was feeling like maybe I should leave New York City, but then my mind would come in and have all these reasons why I couldn't do it. And it's happened for a few weeks, a few months. What I began to do, I was in this battle. I had this battle of my heart versus my mind. And what I did was I said, you know what, I'm going to be asking for help, for guidance. And I began to ask universe, God, my spirit guides, my spirit team, what should I do? Please give me some signs and make it more obvious for me. Should I leave this job and leave the city, or should I stay, give it another 6 months, another year, whatever? So we can tap into our intuition by asking for signs. We can ask our team, our spirit team, or God, the universe, Jesus, whatever you believe in. We can ask for tips, and we can ask to make it more obvious for us. And there was one day, I'll never forget this, when I was walking home from the subway after work. I think I had a rough day at work. I probably got really drained. I probably was really miserable this day. And I'm walking back next to, if you've ever been in New York City, there's cars everywhere. You walk like kind of next to the cars on the sidewalks. And I remember I was a little bit angry. In my head, I was just saying really strongly, universe, if I should freaking leave this job and go back home to my parents' house, can you give me a freaking sign? Like, just freaking make it obvious for me. What should I do? I had those thoughts in my head. And right when I had those thoughts, the car in the road right next to me slammed on the horn. Not at me, but at another car or whatever. It was right next to me. It scared me. So I'm walking on the sidewalk. I had these thoughts. Please give me a freaking sign. All I hear is, and I look over and I say, maybe that was my sign. Stuff like this can happen if, number one, we're open to it, we believe it can happen, and number two, we ask for it. We ask repetitively for it, and then we're really trying to be aware of our reality. We go to the food store, we overhear a conversation, and the words that we hear might be relevant to us. Maybe you're in your car listening to, the radio is even around these days, but maybe you're watching TV, and you're flipping through the channels, and all of a sudden, the one channel you hear this phrase, and someone says some line or some conversation, and it really hits you deep, and you maybe think, wow, maybe that was meant for me. My wife makes fun of me because I say a lot of times that when things happen, I say to her, "Oh, that was probably a sign I should do this or a sign I should do that," and she kind of laughs at me and says, what? It's all signs. So maybe I go a little overboard with it, but the signs are there, especially if you ask for them. The synchronicity is there, and so that's kind of one part of it. The other part of this is that we have to take time every single day, I believe, to have quiet time to nurture our intuition. And there's this awesome book I read a couple years ago called Reality Transurfing by Vadim Zeland. It's a really thick book. I have it in my closet. And in this book, he talks about intuition. And what he says is that it's the whispers of the heart. And I think that's great. The whispers of the heart. That's our intuition. And if you can imagine when, let's say you're at a party or you're at a restaurant or a bar, a very loud restaurant or a very loud party. You ever get a phone call and you're trying to answer it and you say, "Hello, yeah, I can't hear you. It's too loud. Let me go over here to the bathroom," and you leave the room where it's more quiet. I feel like that's our intuition. It's there, but we don't always hear it because of all the noise, whether it's noise from our own head, like I was saying, it could be our own internal ego noise or our mind chatter, or it could be the noise from our life. It could be people we live with, our siblings, our family, our partner. It could be people around us, friends, coworkers. If our life is too chaotic, if we're too busy, if we're always go, 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 we're not going to be able to listen to this intuition that's there. Right? It's there. Now, there are some times, I guess I would say that there are some times where our intuition might not be as strong, or we might feel like we're not being guided and we feel like we're kind of be left alone. That can happen too, but I overall, like it's there. It can be subtle, it can be really quiet. And here's another thing that might help when it comes to our intuition. Sometimes if we don't follow it, we can usually know pretty fast after the fact that, oh man, I should have just followed how I felt. For example, my wife, she got a KitchenAid, what's it, like a blender or whatever it's called? I don't even know what it's called. A little KitchenAid spinning kitchen thing to bake stuff, and she has been making a lot of stuff, brownies, muffins for us, trying to make some butter soon, and she follows these recipes online. She goes online and finds the ingredients and the directions, but a couple times the last few weeks she has been following the directions. And then there'd be a certain point where she feels like she should maybe like follow her own way at a certain step, but she hasn't been doing it. She's been just following the directions line by line. And a couple times, because she was following it line by line, and then she went to make whatever it was, brownies or muffins, whatever, there was some things off with the recipe. And when she went to make it, the muffins came out too puffy, or this came out too whatever. It was slightly off. And she was, after the fact, she kept saying, she told me, she was like, "Man, I should just followed what I was thinking. I should just followed how I felt with that step. And I shouldn't have followed the recipe exactly." So after the fact, we can often kind of look back and say, "Oh, I should have followed my gut. I should have followed how I felt." And that's how we build trust too. It kind of, from my experience, it takes some of these, maybe they're minor mess ups, or it's just us not really being aware of our intuition. It takes those experiences for us to then say, "Oh, okay." We can look back on the fact and say, "Okay, I should have followed myself there. I should have followed my own inner knowing or my own sense in that scenario." So that's how we learn. I mean, that's the contrast of how we learn to follow our own guidance, to follow ourself. And aside from what I just shared in this video so far, the last piece of this, from my experience, what's been so challenging of following our intuition is just the pressure of people around us. Sometimes our intuition, when I first started making videos in 2018, spirituality, spiritual awakening, consciousness, this stuff wasn't very popular, and I felt inspired to make videos, start creating content, and everyone around me just didn't understand, and people didn't really see, what I was trying to do. They thought people around me actually got a little bit scared because I was like talking about all this health stuff, meditation, quantum physics, and all these things for the first time, and my friends were kind of like, "What, like Trevor? What, like where's the Trevor I knew?" And it kind of scared them. But I just knew. I spent a lot of time alone in New York City back then, and I was really having a strong connection to myself. And all of us can do this. All of us can take time every single day, 10, 20 minutes to sit with ourselves, to observe our thoughts, to go outside to nature, walk on the grass, hug a tree, touch the ground, all these things. Just that's how we develop our own inner knowing even more. All of us have intuition. All of us have this built in, but we don't have the tools to develop it, and we don't understand that it's our intuition. It's not meant for other people. It's meant for us. And it doesn't really matter who you have in your life, coworkers, friends, family. People are not always going to understand your intuition. And that's where you have to have boundaries. You have to really trust yourself, believe in yourself, know yourself, be confident in yourself and your abilities. And the more that we do that, the more you're going to be able to trust your intuition. You're going to be able to really just not be fazed by people, you're going to know what's true for you. You're not going to have to second guess yourself and ask for validation or ask for opinions, or you're going to just be able to be a lot more confident in yourself, and it comes with time. So what you can do, like I shared a quick little summary, you can try to limit the noise in your life, limit the noise in your mind, take time for yourself every single day, and understand that the intuition is often that quiet whisper. It's that subtle, usually that initial feeling in our heart, in our body. And then what happens is usually our mind jumps in, tries to justify things, tries to reason things. Oh, that can't work because of this and this and this and this. The mind, the ego is always thinking in this cause and effect, 3D way, whereas our heart, our soul, our energy inside of us, life force energy, this is in real time. It knows the bigger path in life. It can see over the mountains and the valleys, and the more we can develop our intuition, the more we can have an awesome life, have more self-confidence. People are going to be drawn to us. They're going to be like, wow, this guy or girl here, they're different. They're really grounded. They're really confident in themselves, and that can be you too, because all of us have this built in. All right, so thanks for watching, my friend. If this video gave you any kind of value, definitely subscribe or follow me down below. Have an amazing day, and I will see you again very soon. Take care.